On today's episode of Every Single Morning, we're going to talk about the one subject that we really should talk about in this day and age, and that's living in the moment. Are you ready? You better be right now on Every Single Morning. Welcome to Every Single Morning. I'm Tansha.
I'm O'Shea.
And we are so grateful that you have joined us on today. Thank you so much for watching. Now, look at here. I looked at the analytics, okay? So we know that there are people out here who are watching this podcast. We want you to subscribe to us. How about that? How about liking? How about commenting? How about sharing? Because you know we got some good tidbits in this podcast. Don't be selfish. Share.
Before it's too late.
You don't want it to be too late for you, do you? We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by Labor Day. We already went past my birthday now. We're gonna go reach 5K by Labor Day. I was gonna say Memorial Day, but was like, no, I'm gonna give you enough time to sign up and subscribe. So 5K by Labor Day, beloved. We want to see you.
By Labor Day. Well, guess what? Had to do that Coachella. Live and in concert.
Yep, O'Shea will be singing. And if that's what you want, then all right. Just
I'm sure that's not what they want.
Then they should subscribe.
Because they're going to be like, you preach good.
And that's it. Oh, Lord.
That's the old folks' way of saying stick to preaching.
Pretty much. So, today's subject, live in the moment. So, the reason why this topic was chosen is because this was one of my supposed subjects for every 50 things I've learned about my life before I turned 50. I had to stop myself. But
I was supposed to do this for every single morning.
I was supposed to do this, but and I really shouldn't let people affect my my flow when it comes to my social media pages. But since I wasn't getting a lot of engagement, unfortunately, with my 50 things, I just decided to repurpose it and just go back to my reality checks, which I am most known for on TikTok. So, with live in the moment, unfortunately, we're living in a society where everything is fast. And as soon as we accomplish one thing, we want to move on to the next thing. And we're highly focused on future plans that we don't even look at present accomplishments.
Mm-hmm.
We are so focused on looking at the things ahead that we don't take the time to exhale about what we left behind. We are so tunnel visioned when it comes to preparing for the future that we don't even take the time to thank God and say thank you for where I am and where He has brought me. So, the purpose of this episode is we have to learn how to live in the moment. And another reason why this topic was brought on is because of the fact that my mother. So my mother is currently, she's stable. She's currently, well, as of this video, in the nursing home. And unfortunately is on a ventilator, helping her to breathe. One of the conversations we had prior to this happening to her was the fact that one of the biggest regrets that she had is that she didn't live in the moment. And all of the accomplishments that she did do, she was so focused on moving on to the next thing that she didn't even take the time to breathe, relax, and go, thank you, Lord, and then focus on the next thing. So my mother, who has a very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't like the word interesting because I don't want it to be a negative connotation. But I think she lived a very um, extreme life. Um, the fact that she is a woman who raised two children on her own, college educated, and she doesn't even have a college degree, speaks volumes about her parenting. How she was second generation on welfare and eventually got off. That's a major accomplishment. How she worked her way to get the things she has, and also for living in a place for almost 40 years and made the choice to move out and live somewhere she'd never been before. That's a major accomplishment. But she never went and looked at any of these things or appreciated the moment of what it was before she moved on to the next thing. And that was one of the things that she regretted. And I know, and O'Shea knows, my mother is going to be just fine. I just wanted to use this particular episode to say that if you are one of those individuals who, as soon as you accomplish something, you move on to the next, and you don't take the time to appreciate, to look, to enjoy even what you have accomplished, what you managed to do, and what God has done in your life before you quickly moved on to the next thing, you should start doing it. Because no one is promised tomorrow. No one is. And if you manage to have done something that no one in your family has ever done before, revel in that moment. if you have managed to achieve something that you've always wanted to do and had difficulties getting there, and you've done it, revel in that moment. If you have always dreamt a dream and you finally started to pursue your dreams, revel in that moment, because not many people get to do so. So, what is your take, O'Shea?
Live in the moment. For me, the only question that comes up is why. Why live in the moment? One reason why to live in that moment is, what does this moment teach me, good or bad? What does it teach me? We don't live in a lot of moments in our lives because it's on to the next thing, which we don't examine what that moment is teaching us. Wait a minute, if I was to stop and sit in this moment right now, let's take, for instance, a good moment. If I sit and live in this good moment, this good feeling right now, maybe it'll teach me that life is possible after divorce. That I can have a messed up life and still have joy in spite of. Everything does not have to be perfect for me to have a smile on my face. Everything doesn't have to go my way for me to take a moment and say, you know what, I may not have done everything right, but this one thing I got right. And when we talk about living in the moment, I have to relegate back to who I am. You know, Paul said it best. Paul said, this one thing I do. He says, I don't count myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, I'm going to live in this moment. I'm going to press forward onto that thing that because I'm trying to reach the prize of the high calling. And I realize in the past, I haven't been perfect, but this one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this moment right here to push forward. So that thing is, what is it teaching me? What is it teaching me? That the fact that nobody in my family could graduate from college. That's a lie, because I just did it. Nobody in my family could raise their own kids. That's a lie, because I just did it. I do not have to live. Every accomplishment I have says to me, I don't have to live in my family's curses, in what enemies. Oh. I don't have to live in what enemies. Wait a minute, because I get the download. I don't have to live in. Okay, get the download, then come because okay, I don't have to live by what the enemies of my lineage said about us.
Wow. Okay. Now I understand.
Because do people not know that there are, if it's not you and if it's not somebody in your family, that there are people who have spoken against your lineage? Everything that come out of your family line, they spoke against it. And when you beat the odds and you accomplish things despite the odds that were stacked against you, you call all of those voices lying prophets, not by you saying it, but by you doing it.
Right.
So then, am I really up against flesh and blood? No, I'm really up against satanic enemies of my lineage. And when I accomplish what I accomplish through the power of God, I defy and I dismantle what they said about us. What they said about people with my last name. That's what living in the moment, that's what it means. Because the moment is bigger than what you're celebrating.
Wow.
The moment is bigger than what you're celebrating because you're just celebrating, I did this. But do you not understand that when you overcome the odds, when you beat out the competition, when you do all of these things by the Spirit of God, you cause your whole lineage to look back and look at you and say, what's wrong? Now we must do something different because somebody in the family broke out.
Wow.
So the moment is bigger than what you're celebrating. So it's, what did this moment teach me? It is possible. Then, if I don't celebrate the moment and I don't take that in, I'm doomed to repeat it. Because watch this, because I'm in God, He's in me. And maybe in school, maybe in the secular arena, if you didn't do well, they got tired of seeing you and just passed you along and, just let you make it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But with God, you're going to learn this lesson again and again. And because God said, I got time today.
He's got nothing but
Yeah,
time.
then you going to be crying out, God, how many times do I have to go through the same thing until you learn to live in the moment and see what I'm saying to you in this moment? Just like what just happened to me just now. I was trying to give the revelation, so I didn't take time to sit with the moment. And I had to do what? I had to say, wait a minute, get the download and come back to the table. And another thing about living in the moment, sometimes to live in your moment, you won't get to be a part of other people's moment.
Wow. Okay, hold on. All right. Let's sit on that for a moment. Let's sit on that. Okay. The fact that because you're living in your moment that you're not able to live in other people's moments? Break that down.
You're living in your moment. You're living and you're trying to do what you need to do. At the same time, other people are having their moments. And even though you love them and even though you want to be there for them, this moment in your life requires your full attention. Now, you can go back with them and celebrate their moment, but I can't be with you presently in the moment. That's just like if Tanja is having a moment with, let's say, ESM, and ESM is just busting loose at the seams, and you all are subscribing, going crazy. You know, we about to win the NAACP award.
How about that? I received it.
You know, but God has told me that you need to go over here and preach. Because at the same time, the ministry is taking off. You know, this is happening. And so sometimes living in moments will sometimes split you.
Wow, split you.
Because I want to be here for ESM's moment, but I want to be present in the divine moment as well. So which one do I choose? Is it possible that I can let Tanja have the ESM moment and I be fully present in the divine moment? Does that mean that I'm not equally happy or cheering on ESM? No, it means that, you know, I appreciate the success of ESM, but I must do what I was first called here to do. And so sometimes it will split you and you're not able to enjoy everybody's moment all at the same time. Now, that's why it's good for you to have friends that understand living in moments and how to live in them. Because I have my spiritual daughter who understands that if dad could be on the stage for the NAACP award, if dad could do this, he would. But she understands the bigger moment is the God moment.
Yes.
Because that is our source. That is how we got to the NAACP.
Amen.
Yeah. And so we cannot do like most people do, get up there on the stage and say, well, forget about that divine moment. I got to. No. You have friends surrounding you that understands, let him live in that moment. And when that moment is over, we can celebrate this moment. We can celebrate this moment on a podcast. We can celebrate it with a private Zoom party where we go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We can celebrate it in person. We can celebrate it with a tour. There are other ways that we can celebrate it. But I don't cause people to split their moment. So it's all about having people who understand the moment, who understand your moment is your moment, and my moment is my moment. And the thing of it is, when you're living in the moment, your friends and people around you should understand living in the moment and not try to take your moment away from you. Because I could easily say to Tanja, well, if you don't come and be with me at the church, if you don't come and support me and I'm preaching and I'm no, because that is to rob her of her moment. And if I'm a real friend, I wouldn't do that. Why can't we both have our moments at the same time and be understanding to each other that somebody got to represent ESM? We can't just both go to the. Somebody got to tell them it's about time. And Melissa's words, if she had to receive the thing for Kev, the NAACP award for Kev. So glad we won. But because Kev, you said it's ours, you just gonna keep it at your house. But somebody have to be there for both of those moments. And so me and Tanja can come together and say, let's celebrate this moment. And then most of all, Tanja, I already know anywhere I'm preaching, teaching, anywhere, I'm going to stream it. So we can celebrate that moment later.
Yeah.
But we both get to be present in our moments. So live in the moment. What does this moment teach me? Do I have friends that will either rob me of my moment or allow me to live in my moment? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, do I have people in my life that'll take advantage of the moment?
Child.
Because you do know that when you live in the moment of success, when you live in the moment of winning, there are people that's gonna try to act like they know you. They always have known you.
Newsflash, I'm preparing for that right now.
Am I ready for the ex-girlfriends and the ex-boyfriends to come out the woodwork?
I always knew you could make it.
I
I
always,
always knew.
I always knew you could make it. I always knew.
Give me $5.
Yeah. Which leads me to my next point. Extortioners of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is living in the moment, but living in the moment fully embracing the moment. Then here's the last thing. There's more to this moment. Because as sure as I'm in the moment of elevation, sure as I'm in the good moment, to whom much is given,
Much is
much is
required.
required. So then I accomplished this moment. Good, great. I celebrated the joy of it. I celebrated the win of it. I celebrated the fact that I got friends who, even though we may be having a different moments at different times, they allowed me to live in my moment. They didn't take my moment away from me. Um, I understand that there are people that's gonna come and take advantage of the moment, and they're going to just try to know me to get their name out there and develop a moment of their own and all of that. I understand all that. Now, I I realize after this, more is going to be required of me because more people know me. More people know me, are connected with my platform. And so many times we so caught up in living in the moment that you don't understand that living in the moment just moved you to exposure. I used to could say this. I used to could do that. I used to could act this way, and it didn't matter. Now, if I wear the wrong color lipstick, Tanja, not me. You have to clarify in this day and time. Uh, Now, if Tanja wears the wrong color lipstick, somebody in the chat is gonna say, "Why that color? Why did you put on that new hair for this season?"
Mm-hmm. Oh, people tried it. Oh, for real. They
Yeah,
tried it.
and where you're used to being in your own, you don't get that moment to yourself anymore. So preparing for that. Okay, so we did the good moments. Let's talk about bad moments. Yes, sitting in the moment, it's still what did this moment teach me? Not to be vulnerable, not to be so vulnerable with that person anymore. Because that person doesn't see me as a person, they see me as an opportunity. And when they see me as an opportunity, they are here for what I can do for them. And in bad moments, when people you thought were with you jump off and leave you, that person is an opportunist.
Yep.
That person is an opportunist. And what an opportunist is, in my definition, I have no idea what Google's going to tell you. But my definition of an opportunist is they will jump on who's ever hot. Who's ever hot, that's who they're going to go with. It's not about you. It's not about your moment. It's not about any of that. It's whoever they can get their agenda done with. That's who they're going to jump on. And so they could be with you at one moment saying, Jesus, 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 Jesus. Love him so much. He's a wonder in my soul. And then, because they see Rick Ross and them really winning, they over there say, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. And you like, how? When did the language change? It's not the language that changes, the opportunity. And maybe Rick Ross, maybe um, you know, the new person in the new room that they in ain't talking Jesus. So they change their language to fit the room they
Mm,
in.
that's also code switching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, and that's how we do as a country politically. We switch our language. Well, they
They.
switch their language. I love you. He's awesome. Cause, cause God was like, I say what I say, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But they switch their language, whatever room they're in. When I'm with the Democrats, I talk Democratic. When I'm with the Republican, I talk Republican. When I'm independent, I talk independent. When I'm, don't know what I am, I talk crazy.
Are you curious to know what the Google's definition means?
Yeah, you can throw it out there. I say it my piece.
An opportunist is a person who exploits circumstances to gain immediate advantage rather than being guided by consistent principles or plans.
hmm A disloyal joker. That's what it is. Basically.
But the synonyms is what's cracking me up.
Okay.
The synonyms for an opportunist are self seeker,
hmm
carpetbagger, bottom feeder,
Wait, hold
freebooter,
up. Carpetbagger.
carpetbagger.
What is a carpetbagger?
I'm gonna look that up in a second. Um,
Oh,
sellout,
a bottom feeder. And I think you said
hustler,
bottom feeder in there too.
bottom feeder, and a hustler.
Oh, yeah. So basically, same thing, just in more detail. But it's not really about you. It's about the opportunity. And if you are, and why are we talking about live in the moment and recognizing why you need to live in the moment? Because while you're living in the moment, you also need to identify these things because sometimes you confuse opportunists with friends.
Mm. Say that again for those in the back, the middle, the front, and the sides.
Sometimes you confuse opportunists with friends. Oh yeah, that's my friend. They got my back. We like this. And no, you're not. It's just that you're trending on Twitter right now. And it's really got I'm supposed to say that. Okay. Okay. It's that you're trending on Twitter despite Elon Musk. Uh you're 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 trending. And soon as something else is trending, they're gonna be on that. And you know what's really painful? In your moment, you end up being loyal to the opportunist.
Carpetbagger, which means a person perceived as an unscrupulous opportunist.
Meaning, I presume one person that does not have boundaries or limits they will not cross.
Yep. The carpetbagger is in relations to politics.
Mm, well, well, I see how that fits because they are.
Yeah.
They are. They have no limits. They will not cross. They will talk about your husband, your wife, the dog.
Yep. The fish too. All of that.
Yeah. And so this is why you need to sit in each moment, because you have to assess all of this before moving forward to the next thing. Why? Because you don't want to take an opportunist into your next season.
Amen.
You don't want to take a carpetbagger into your next season. You don't want to take a freeloading bottom feeder into your
You sure
next
don't.
season. And a lot of times we don't live in the moment long enough to challenge and see if the people that were with me before, if they still with me now. So what you end up doing is traveling all around the world with Judas and don't even know it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So why do I need to live in the moment? Because I need to have regular check-ins with my crew and make sure, are you still down for my mission? Are you still down with me? Or have you switched? Because the Bible talks about a time where Satan entered the heart of Judas. Wait a minute. So Judas wasn't always a betrayer. Judas wasn't always the one that was going to sell Jesus out from the beginning. And a lot of times we have friends, and dare I say family members,
Hmm.
that we don't even realize Satan has entered their heart. And we traveling with them, giving them money, being there for them, and they're looking for the right opportunity. So you need to have regular check-ins. Pay attention to those people who are at the gathering with you, but they have stopped clapping. They leave the celebration early to make other deals. You got to live in the moment you're presently in, making the checklist before you move forward. And I ain't gonna never turn my back on this person. This person been my day one. Maybe your day one, but are they day two? In day three? In day four?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they might have stopped at one. And for lack of a better term, and this is gonna be my last one. Steve Harvey said it this way: people don't realize that sometimes loyalty has an expiration
True.
date.
Very true.
And you don't know, and the thing about it is you don't get to choose what that date is. The person who gave you the loyalty chooses that date, and they choose the date that they stop being loyal. Because if you were to do a re-inventory of everything you have, and you did this whole checklist of living in the moment and got all of these notes and got all this stuff, you would determine that not only do I not have some friends that are not with me anymore, I got family that ain't on my side. I want the best for them. I love them, but they don't care whether I lived or died.
For real though. For real though.
And that's the reality. And so I live from moment to moment to moment, because you need to stop and you need to stop. And that's the thing, it is that I believe that the reason why the Lord wanted us to have this about live in the moment, because too many people are not taking inventory of the moment. Too many people have unscrupulous people traveling with them. And God is saying, wait, check out this moment. Look around.
Yeah.
Not everybody that was clapping with you when you started is still clapping.
For real.
Not everybody that said you should do this is still on your team. They have stopped clapping. And they over there riding with the other team and you don't even know it. Take full opportunity to look at this moment. The moment you're in right now. Even if you're in a bad moment, what's the strategy for your exit? You're not looking at this bad moment. You're not taking down all of the lessons. And the way to find out if people are gonna clap with you for a long time, I said that was my last point with the Holy Ghost. The way to find out if people are going to clap with you for a long time is do they clap now?
Hmm.
Do they clap when the lights ain't on and the camera not shining and people are not calling your name? Do they go somewhere and sit with you in the fetal position and cry out to God? With you because they want you to make it? Do they challenge you and make you mad as fire? Because I used to tell Tasha them all the time. They said, you know what? You just make me so mad when you said, and I didn't like when you said, and my thing was, did I make you mad enough to change?
All the time.
and,
All the time.
they would be like, wait, what? Because it's not my concern that I made you mad, that I upset you, that I offended you. That's not my goal. My goal is I hope I offended you so bad that you change the way you move. Because if that's what I gotta be, I will offend you right into your destiny. I, I will offend you right into your purpose. And everybody's not going to happily walk into their purpose. I'll be your friend later. But we gotta get you to destiny right now. And then I had another saying. I used to tell them, I said, I gotta hurt you to help you.
Yep. Said that too.
I gotta and I think Tanja was the one that she had the hardest time understanding that. Because she was like, wait, what? I said, no, I gotta some things I'm going to say to you, it's going to hurt you. Don't hurt your feelings, but it's going to help you in the long run. You ain't going to be happy about it first.
I sure wasn't. I sure wasn't.
But I want, because I want you to have your moment. And I understand that if I don't do this, you ain't going to never have your moment. And I'd rather be a temporary enemy for you to have a lifetime moment.
Oh, come on now. You ain't going to just like that. Say that one more time.
I'd rather be a temporary enemy for you to have the moment of a lifetime. That you can live in even when I'm gone. And you can tell the world that I'm able to live in this moment because somebody had the nerve.
The audacity even.
to challenge me and push me to this moment. Now I'm done.
Yeah, what a way to knock that off. I'm going to close by giving a story.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told this before, but I don't remember what platform I told this on. But the part where I had to live in the moment for myself was when I completed my second book, Paradise in Singleness. Is it possible? In the process of writing that book, I thought that I was going to be living in Chicago. So I gave up everything and took a one-way flight to Chicago. And I was originally supposed to stay with a friend, but that didn't pan out. And for 45 days, I literally counted. For 45 days, I was staying in hotels while I was in Chicago. And technically, I wasn't even in the city. I was at a hotel near the airport.
Mm-hmm.
And in those 45 days, between applying for jobs, looking for places to live, things of that nature, I wrote this book. And I had nothing but time in that hotel room. And then I had to hop from room to room to room to room because I had to keep charging my card. And then the miracle was when I kept charging my card, which should have been declined, it was still charging.
Thank God.
Praise the
Ain't
Lord.
nothing like the joy right there.
Woo!
Ain't
Lord.
nothing like that.
And it happened more than once.
And when he say he'll give you joy unspeakable and full of glory.
The exhale that I would take every time I'm at the front desk, swiping that card to see if I have X enough days in my hotel room. Because that happened more than once. So by the time I completed the book, and then when my mother first got sick, she wasn't feeling well, and then my godmother wasn't feeling well. And that's when I came back to New York, my original home, which I was hesitant to come back to, not realizing 6 years later why I had to come back here. It all made sense. now.
Uh-huh.
It didn't make sense then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So reluctantly, I came back to New York, um, stayed with my mother. Um, was literally just not understanding why things didn't work out for me in Chicago like I believed it would,
Mm-hmm.
and how angry I was at God when it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really confused during that time frame, and most of all, I was angry. I was really
Mm-hmm.
angry. So, but nevertheless, I went, designed the cover myself, did the layout and everything myself, majority of it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Made sure I got that book published. And I took that moment to exhale. I took that moment to breathe once the book came out.
Mm-hmm.
But the disappointing moment of me living in that moment was what O'Shea just mentioned previously. The same people who were cheering for me before when my first book came out
Mm-hmm.
were not there at all when that second book came out. And how disappointed I was when I looked at my analytics for my book compared to X amount that I got for the first book. Only less than 10 people purchased my second book. Only 10. I have never been so hurt and disappointed, on top of the fact that I was already angry that I had to come back to New York because Chicago didn't work out. So even though I was in the moment, it was a painful moment to sit in. But I still had to revel in that moment because I had to find the silver lining in that, which was I at least accomplished what I started. Even though the outcome wasn't what I hoped for,
Mm-hmm.
at least it was completed.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that into consideration and I appreciated that moment that at least I got to complete the book. And at this point, whoever reads it, reads it. Um, because what people don't know is that there's a particular chapter that is actually O'Shea's favorite chapter, Love Me Lane. When I wrote that in my hotel room in Chicago, I was purging,
Mm-hmm.
and I was purging a lot. And the stuff that comes out of you when you're pouring something into a product,
Mm-hmm.
it takes so much out of you. And writing that book, as it was with the previous book, because with the first book I wrote, that I co-wrote with my friend, I had a stomach virus for 2 weeks. So it forced me to sit down and focus on that book because I really couldn't go anywhere, didn't work or anything because I had a stomach virus that lasted 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I had such a difficult time concentrated, because one point I ended up in the emergency room because I was dehydrated.
Mm.
But with all of that, the birth of that first book came out.
Mm-hmm.
So hence the reason why my friend slash pastor over here keeps asking me, so when are you going to write your next book? I said, look at here. We don't know about that. Anyway, I say all this to say that I lived in that moment, even though it wasn't, there was a couple of aspects that were positive, but for most of it, it was negative. But I still lived in that moment nonetheless. And I took that moment for what it was. And if God gives me the strength to write another book,
He will.
and I say if,
I say
um,
when.
we're just gonna go back and forth on that one.
I have a feeling I'm going to win. I'll let y'all know when the book comes out.
If it comes out.
I'll let you know when the book comes out.
um, I pray that it will be when I live in that moment, if ever that happens. I will revel in that moment.
Because the next book may be reclaiming the moment.
You're gonna have to explain that one.
Because when you talk about the pain of this first book that you wrote, when you're winning in your second book, you reclaim the moment because the situation will change, and you will talk about what you went through while you were waiting and the journey to reclaiming the moment. Because people talk about the moment and reclaiming the moment all the time, but nobody talks about the process to reclaiming the moment. How I first had to reclaim myself
Mm-hmm.
and talk about the process of going to get yourself back. Then I had to take what the devil meant for evil and repurpose it. Because in the process of my first book, it wasn't a good moment. Now, when this next book is on the bestsellers list, I get to talk about how God recovers and restores the years that the locust and the cankerworm ate up. And it doesn't just be a nice sermon that makes everybody go nuts when you talk about it, but you talk about the journey to restoration and reclaiming the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you can write it from the healed perspective. Not only healed as the individual that you were when you wrote your first book, but talk about the healed author, the healed person who didn't think you would ever accomplish this moment. How the odds were stacked against you, and people said that you wouldn't. God says, let me take you back to that moment, and we're going to do it over again. But this time, we're going to do it with my power. We're going to do it with my presence and show people how I can restore. We're not just going to preach a wonderful little message about restoration, but we're going to walk the journey of restoration, of not only Tanja, the person, but the journey of restoration of the author I meant for you to be. And how that in the beginning, it may look like you have wasted your oil, but it's not wasted at all. It was just being remade. It's just being repurposed. It's just, it's just it was just God taking you so that when you release oil this time, you know how the oil was made.
Mm.
You know how the oil was made, and the message has great value to you when you write reclaiming the moment.
So I'm assuming that's my title.
I mean, I said that, but I don't know what the title is going to be of the book, but I know you will reclaim the moment. That's all. That's all I know. Because God didn't have you go back to New York to reclaim your life and not gonna restore everything. He does not do it halfway. Because the next journey may be for you to reclaim the author next. And that's a journey within itself. So I will let y'all know when the book comes out, regardless of what she says. I'll let y'all know when the book comes out. Everywhere books are sold. Now, may not be this year, may not be the year after that, but it's gonna be sometimes. So I just know it is. And ask her about the last thing I just knew was gonna happen.
You know what?
So so it just let y'all know. Anyway.
Oh, Shay, tell them where they can find you.
anyway, anyway, y'all, I love this. So y'all, we be that's why I love every single morning, because we can do things like this. And then y'all be getting all this free stuff and then y'all don't subscribe. Hit, hit the subscribe button. Ain't nobody got time to be putting their life out here like this and y'all don't hit the subscribe button. Anyway, y'all can find me on everything at the top. On the tickety tops. God has put a TikTok anointing on me that y'all gonna realize, y'all gonna see for the next couple of days. And it hit me before this particular recording. So pay attention to my TikToks if you need to be encouraged. Because I got hit with it and I'm hitting the TikToks with it. Then my Instagram. Y'all pray for me in Instagram because I told Tanja I'm thinking about getting rid of this. Thinking about getting rid of Instagram, but y'all pray for me. Then my Facebook, I won't get rid of that. The only thing saving that is my awesome daughter Cheryl. Um, she makes sure y'all hear something from us every day, Monday through Friday. I believe her office hours are. Um, yeah, Monday through Friday. So all of that, and then I have an awesome link tree where if I ever bless your life, if I ever crush you, I mean,
Don't do that.
this is gonna happen if y'all don't subscribe. I'm gonna start saying it. Do you ever wake up reaching after? You can get on the my link tree and subscribe to the link tree. And if I cross your mind, you can give a donation to our ministry. Check out our other social media platforms, our Avon store, because I am, against my will, Avon representative. Uh,
Against my will.
I have several direct sale businesses on there and all of that good stuff. And who could forget about O'Shea's Social Clubhouse, where I'm almost finished, late than what I tried to prove conjure out. It wouldn't take me 2 years to do 100 days, but whatever. Uh, that's where I am now in the process. I'm living in the moment, Tanya.
Oh Lord.
I had a lot of moments, which cost me 2 years. Yeah, but you can find all of that wonderful stuff on my link tree. Tanja, tell them where they can find you living in the moment.
Well, you can find me exhaling on my link on the bottom. So, but you'll mostly find me on TikTok. That one right there. You will mostly find me on that one. And all the other two are just videos that I've done on TikTok and I pass them on these other platforms. But if you want to find my other stuff like my website and my other podcast, The Realities of Being Single, that's my audio podcast. And all my other stuff, that's definitely worth checking out, including the 2 books that I've mentioned in this episode that is still up for purchase.
Purchases.
My link tree is right there. Both link trees will be in the description below.
Yes.
And as always, we always say, we'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.